Well, it wasn't what I was doing before. It was I've started. Are we on, by the way?
Are we on? Is this thing on? Have we
Is this thing
started?
on? Have we started?
Oh my god.
But have we? Because I
Yes.
don't want to. I don't want to burn
Well,
this
I started recording.
classic. Cool. Me too.
Okay.
Um,
Is this thing
I've
on?
started. I've started taking this drug called Restovit, which is actually a recommendation from Maggie, who listens to the pod,
Okay.
and she was
She's a
listening
doctor,
to me.
right?
She is not a doctor,
Okay. Oh,
not a
she's the
doctor at all.
pharmacist.
Not a pharmacist.
Okay.
I don't think she even
Has a job.
she doesn't work in the medical industry at
Sure.
all. She's I know her as a musician. Anyway, she phoned in after hearing the show,
Uh-huh.
and I was talking about my sleeping issues that I was having
Yeah.
on the last episode, I think, and previously. And she says, go to the chemist and get this thing called Restovit, and it's an over-the-counter sleeping pill,
Okay.
right? So I did that immediately after she texted me,
Yeah.
and they say to you to only don't take it for an extended amount of time,
Yeah.
right? But this thing is incredible. So I've been taking like a half dose,
Uh-huh.
when I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not waking up in the middle of the night now on this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping right through. Only side effect is that it can make you a little drowsy. Last night I took a full dose, so
Full tabby.
a little bit drowsy. But
Right. And so that warning being said, how often are you taking a tablet?
I've taken it every day since I got them.
Which
so,
was how long? Like a month?
maybe a month ago. Yeah,
Michael.
but it works.
Yes. It seems like one of those things which is sort of fixing a symptom, not the problem.
That's what I'm all about. The symptom to me is more important than the actual root issue.
Sure. So until this treatment becomes another problem, you're happy to just ignore all the warnings.
Well, the beauty of that is that if this does create another problem, which it is, I can just find a solution to that.
Right.
Problem.
So kick the can down the road.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's always a solution. There's always,
Yeah.
a symptom waiting to be solved.
Yeah. Can't sleep? Take a pill. Too drowsy from the pill? Have a coffee. Too
Yes.
shitty because of the coffee? Get some Imodium. Too clogged up? Eat some fiber. Just keep going.
Yeah, man. It's fine. I mean, it's nice to have things to
It feels like you're filling time now. You're just filling out your day with things to do.
Yeah. Otherwise, what the fuck else am I gonna do?
Shit regularly.
But yeah. So if you're having sleeping issues, go out and get Restovit. You just have to give your ID over the counter, and you'll sleep like a baby.
Okay. Maggie,
Thanks,
I love
Maggie,
you.
for the rec.
Still pretty hurt that I explicitly, to your face, told you to go and see a doctor and talk to someone about it. And that advice was ignored. And the one that you did choose to do was just go and self-medicate.
The easiest one.
Was that any easier? You still had to go speak to someone and drive somewhere.
Yeah, but I like doing that. I like
So then why not go to a doctor?
chemist. Because then you have to book an appointment, and I don't know. It's just I don't want the intimacy of an appointment.
You might be treating your doctor wrongly.
Yeah. But welcome back,
Thank you.
everyone.
Welcome back.
That was not to you.
Okay.
Not to you. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a month, Nick.
Yeah, it has.
A drought.
A
drought of
deep fought drought.
default content.
Yeah.
So many people asking where we are, what we're doing. Are the default lads coming back?
Yeah. And to be fair, I feel like the last episode we delivered was as good as 2 of our episodes put together on average. So I think that, you can just go back and re-listen to that Christmas one a few times if you're feeling the need. I regret nothing.
Now we're getting some good feedback on the Christmas jingles.
Yeah. Jingles. God, so dismissive. I like to think of mine as an anthem, but each to their own. A Christmas anthem.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
It's hitting the clubs.
Your song identifies as an anthem.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
How are you doing? How's your 2023 been so far?
It's been good. I had a great break. I went down to Adelaide. I had an interesting New Year's. We kind of rented a place in the woods, I guess you'd say, in the bush.
Yeah.
Had a weird time there, and just been.
What sort of place?
It was like a cottage. It was
Okay.
an Airbnb, but it was a cottage.
Forest cottage is generally a nice vibe.
It was. No, that's what I meant. It was just a bit of a weird time, but it was good, just weird a little bit.
Well,
I cried. Okay, so there was a karaoke machine. This is on day 2, a karaoke machine.
Who's here with you?
Just some people that I know and a few that I don't.
Okay, so we're talking like 8 people?
Yeah, around that.
Okay.
Anyway, at one point there was a karaoke machine and people were singing, including me. And someone was singing, I don't believe in... Oh, wait. Do you believe in life after love? By Cher. And I just started leaking fluid out of my eyes. And it was weird. And it was like a happiness thing. I have this thing where I always seem to get very emotional around New Year's. And it's happened ever since... probably 2015 when I was traveling with Dan, and it happened this year again. And there was like an afterglow of emotional feelings, after New Year's, where for a few days after I would hear like a song as I'm walking to work, and I'm like, oh shit, it's happening again. And I think New Year's I know it's like a arbitrary kind of date that people use to change their life, or they have an ambition to, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then they never do it. But I think for me, it's like this checkpoint and this marker of like, okay, I remember where I was this point last year, and, so much of my life has changed, and I'm wondering like what's going to happen in the future. It's like this because I'm never in the present. I'm always in the past or the future. So New Year's serves as this like marker of I'm right in the middle of the past and the future, if that makes sense. Like
it forces you to be in the present. Because you're having to think about what the moment is now, right? Like that's the whole point of a marker like that, is it orients you in today.
Yeah, I think for me it's more like the reflection of how much has changed from between this point last year and now, and then
which is thinking about where the present is, right?
And also the anticipation of what's going to happen at this point next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what you're saying is correct, but yeah, I tend to just get a bit weepy.
And was it because you regret where you are compared to a year ago, or you're
No, it was like a happy cry, but it was like an overcome of emotions kind of thing. It's like a real bubbling over type thing. It's yeah.
Well, do you believe in a life after love?
I do. I thought it was believe in love after love. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, I believe in life after love for sure. Do you?
Well, it depends how you interpret the song. Is the idea that you're through with a relationship and then you're not getting back into a relationship and you're living a life? Or do you think the meaning of it is like, do you get a second
Should you kill
love?
Yourself? Or should you just kill yourself after the love?
No, but as in like, are you taking it as like, it's nice to be single, or are you taking it as like, there's a second chance at love out there? What's the intention? What's the meaning behind the song?
I think the latter for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. A little analysis of Cher's lyrics.
Yeah. And topical too. Welcome to Deep Thought, everybody. Thank you for joining us in the year of our Lord, 2023. Michael is preparing his religious text. We've changed podcast themes, there's going to be quite a bit more of a sermon. But welcome on board, everyone. Hope you had a lovely holiday break. We sure did. Sitting through the internet with me today, my friend Michael. Hello.
Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you in this fine year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Theme tune. Still playing. It's quite nice, though. Did you say you were back into work straight away? Back at it?
Am I back into work? I was back on the 7th or something.
Okay, so you've had a week.
Yep. And tell me about yours.
Yeah.
Tell me what you've been doing.
Well, we caught up in Melbourne, as you hopefully remember. Though you might have been in sort of a sleeping pill days at that point. I'm not sure.
I do.
Casey and I got home for a couple of weeks, 18 days, I think, all up. Quick week in Adelaide, went to a wedding, which was lovely, and then had a week of Airbnb bumming around doing nothing with the family in Victoria. And as a result, got to pop up for a day trip to Melbourne and see my old buddy Michael.
See your boy.
Yeah, and Lauren was there, which was lovely. So yeah, we had a nice day, and then flew back to New Zealand at sort of start of Jan. And almost immediately entered another wedding phase because we were groomsmen.
You're going to a lot of weddings.
Yeah, and I got another one in a fortnight. So
Holy
I
shit.
had groomsmen stuff for this one just passed, and so we had a Bucks weekend away, which was again weirdly a lodge in the forest kind of vibe, very nice. And then just yesterday was the actual wedding 1 week later, so that was a fairly full-on day, but a very successful one. So,
what is it about all your friends getting married around this time? Is it just
summer?
pure
Everyone
coincidence?
gets married this time.
I'm dying to go to a wedding, and
You are?
I've got no one.
Well,
Got no one getting married.
you need to, you've made a conscious choice to hang out with single people, and you need to find friends who are stable and connected.
Yeah, they're not as fun though.
Well, that's the trouble. What do you want? To go to a wedding or to not go to a wedding?
That's true.
Yeah.
Sophie's choice.
Sophie's choice. But yeah, no, lovely couple of weeks doing some wedding stuff. But it's kind of, it's a lot. It's tiring, And we're not even the ones getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it? How'd you go at we probably covered some of this when we caught up IRL. But how'd you go with family and stuff? Because you hadn't seen them in a while. You hadn't spent like a great deal of like time together under the same roof. Your dad got COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
Just after. How'd you go with all that?
That was the unfortunate thing. So we'd spent a week. So I spent 2 weeks with my parents. First week in Adelaide, we were all together. Then we all went to Melbourne to meet my sister. And we spent another week there. All, fairly close quarters. That was a Christmas break. So we had Christmas in Melbourne, not much to do, not much around. So we were just like at home, eating, drinking, reading, going to the beach, just very laid back. And then we drove back from Mount Martha to Melbourne Airport in the shared rental car. Did 8 hours of international travel or more to get back home. And when we got to Auckland, got a message from Dad, who'd already arrived in Adelaide by that point, done a rat test, and it was positive. And we're like, I just spent an hour and a half in a car with you, unmasked. So, fuck. But thankfully, he recovered okay. Not before giving it to Mum, who also got it. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they both had it. And thankfully, they have both now tested negative again, but I think still coming out of it with some of the lingering effects of it. So hopefully they clear up soon. But we managed to avoid it, thankfully. So that was an interesting end to the travel, and a slightly unfortunate one because neither my sister or I got it, and we don't really know where Dad picked it up, so it's a little bit of a mystery. But not exactly the best vibe to come back from a holiday with and immediately just feel sick and shit
Start
for
worrying.
a fortnight and start worrying about it.
Yeah.
But
But at least
they're
he's
doing
got
all
it
right.
now,
Yeah.
and if he gets it again, you can rest assured that he'll probably be all right.
Well, that's not how it works, but yes, he got
Yes, it
through this
is.
one
How is that not how it works?
because every time you get COVID, it's like Russian roulette, and it could just get you. But
Oh, but
that's
you've
okay.
got the antibodies and stuff.
Yeah, that might prevent you from catching it, or it might minimize it, but it's no guarantee that you'll survive it next time.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. Well, either way, he's back on his feet and feeling better. Mum had quite a light case of it, which was good. She didn't seem to struggle as much.
Stronger.
Strongest. Well, she has
Stronger than your dad.
I could probably point to like once in the last 25 years that she's been sick. So I think she's got your gene of the resilience, whatever that might be.
Yeah, I was when you told me that your dad got COVID, I was going to send him a message because he sent me a message which was kind of funny, but also had a bit of a dig at me and my lifestyle. And I was trying to think of something equally funny that I could say to him, but then I realized that I've really got nothing on him.
You should have just sent him the same message back.
Yeah, I could have, but I was just thinking like, Jeff, I heard you got COVID. Do you remember that time you took us out for dinner and you paid for everything? That was really nice. Shit.
Yeah, not quite the same burn, is it?
I had nothing.
Yeah.
No. So I just left it and didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he felt the sentiment even if it wasn't voiced.
I thought about it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting end and then sort of a busy couple of weeks. But now, like, next weekend is the first weekend that I haven't had anything to do in forever. So I'm quite looking forward to just like being at home and not having to do anything. But then the weekend after that is another fucking wedding. So we'll be at it all the way through January.
Well, you need some more fun friends who don't have their shit together.
Well, a wedding is fun. You just said you wanted to go to one.
Well, maybe some friends who don't have their shit together.
Okay.
You need a breakup friend, someone who's just recently broken up.
All right. I'll try and seed some discontent in all my happy couple friends. See where we go.
Yeah. Speaking of happy friends, do you remember maybe a year and a half ago, I told that infamous story on here where I went to a nudist beach with my sister.
Yeah, deliberately, as I recall, you both decided that you wanted to go get naked in front of each other. Is that how? Am I remembering that correct?
Not exactly. We stumbled upon a very beautiful beach that happened to be a nudist beach, and by the time we realized it was a nudist beach, it was a bit too much. But you said that you looked
for the closest nudist beach when you were finding somewhere to go. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
So a bit of an update to this this nudist beach story that
you went again.
I went again with Lauren this time, yesterday actually, and I think I said this last time, but these nudist beaches, they're some of the best beaches because they're vast and the general public don't want to see a bunch of dicks. They are vast.
They're vast.
A huge stretch of white sand and cliffs.
Some of the best beaches. They're vast.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying it's a vast beach?
No, it's just funny. It's just the thing. What are you looking for most in a beach?
I'm looking for space. I'm looking for space. I am.
Okay, fine.
Anyway,
yeah, it just caught me off guard.
So we go to this beach, and
how big was it?
How big was it?
The beach.
The beach.
The beach.
The beach.
The beach. Was it?
I don't know. It's probably 800 meters. Why is it so funny to you?
Go on, yeah.
Anyway, so we go to this beach intentionally this time. And it's beautiful and it's vast and it's a beautiful day. It's a 36-degree day, right? And we see the dicks and we see the tits.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
average age.
I would say 50.
Okay.
I would say 50, but we chose the furthest spot in this vast area.
Yeah.
And we plonked ourselves there. We plonked ourselves there, and we're kind of like watching a lot of nudists. They walk past. They like to walk.
Can I
So you're
ask?
seeing
Can
lot
I
of
ask a
guys-
technical question? So if you're going, let's say, 800 meters down this beach, what's the clothing rules? Do you have to be naked at the start when you get onto the dunes? Strip off. That's where it becomes, nudist, and then you have to walk the 800 meters, or can you clothe all the way, and then strip off where you want to be at the end?
The good thing about this beach is that you there's no real. You don't really feel any pressure to get nude.
Okay.
Right? When I've been to a nudist, I'm making a habit of going to a nudist beach. On my third date with Lauren, I took her to a nudist beach.
What?
Accidentally.
Okay.
Accidentally.
Starting to become a bit of a thing.
But there, on that beach, it was, you felt like you were, not doing the right thing by keeping your clothes on.
Right.
Right? This is all probably projecting, but that's how it felt. Anyway, at this beach, you're seeing some people with clothes on, some people with not.
Okay.
And you're seeing a lot of guys with they'll wear a hat and they'll wear a t-shirt, but they'll wear nothing.
Yeah.
They'll wear no pants.
Yeah.
From the waist down, and they like to walk. It's this. I think that feels freeing to them. They'll just go for a walk with their dick out.
Yeah.
And even though it's a hot day, you're going in and out of the water. It's cold, right? So you're seeing a lot of nubs. You're seeing a lot of nubs. And I'm not there to judge these dicks.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of comments made as you see the people walking past.
There's a couple of comments made
we're
between you
kind
and your associates.
Yeah, my
Not
associates.
to the person's face.
No. We're not.
Not much down there today, is there?
But anyway, we after 2 or 3 hours of sitting there, we think maybe we should get nude.
You were sat there for 2 or 3 hours with clothes on.
Lying on the beach. Well, we just have our bathers on.
You went to a nudist beach and you were there for 3 hours without taking anything off.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then we did it. We went nude. And we went in the ocean, and it felt good. It felt freeing. I was very self-conscious. I feel like, I felt bad because it's easy to make comments about people's penises when you're just sitting there in the comfort of your trousers.
Yeah.
But then as soon as my jewels, my crown jewels hit the water,
yeah,
they it doesn't matter how hot it is, it's going into full retreat mode.
Yeah.
And I just don't think, I know Seinfeld dedicated a whole fucking episode to this, but I just don't think that women truly understand what is happening or what happens. Because I'm going into full explanation mode to Lauren, trying to explain to her the science.
Are you saying the biology side? They don't even understand the biology side of it?
I think...
Or do you think it's one thing to know intellectually, but it's another sort of seeing it happen?
I think that's what it is. And
has she before this point seen your
myself...
penis? Or is this the first glimpse she's got? Because that changes things.
It's been mostly dark, dimly lit corridors.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt myself going into a lot of defensive talking here.
Okay, so you felt like you had to justify things.
I did. I really did feel like I had to. And she was very sweet about it. She was like, I'm not even looking. But that's worse in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, how about this? Then...
Wait, did you say that's worse in a way? You want her to see your dick in this nudist beach? Otherwise, what's the point?
It's the intention is good, but saying, "Oh, I won't even look." That's a nice thing to say, but then now it's I've made it a thing. This is the story of my life. Just making it a thing before anyone's thinking about it.
I'm making an effort. I'm getting my dick out, and you're not even looking at it.
I bet you she copped a look, and she didn't act horrified, but but then how about this? Then there's another couple that come over at one point while we're lying there. We've still got our bathers on at this point, and they're kind of looking for a spot, and we're like, oh, please don't sit next to us. And this is kind of like a kind of a petite woman and like a really buff dude, and he's like ripped, right? He's got tattoos, and a bucket hat. And earlier on, they came and scoped out a spot, and then they kind of decided, nah, this is not for us. And we're like, great. Then they come back like an hour later, and they decide that they will, sit basically next to us, well, at least like 15 meters away.
Okay.
And they just strip off, and this guy. That we made the comment, we're like, they look like porn stars, and this is I have to, and they're going full nude, so this guy's going into the water, and coming out, and it's like it's not even affecting him at all.
Not done anything.
It's not done anything, and so I've gone out there, and I'm like, they're lying on the beach, and I'm coming out with, basically a tiny little worm. And I'm like, this guy just must think I'm a...
Yeah. Must be pitying you.
Yeah.
Did you say hello? Was there any kind of interaction?
Yeah, I waved at him by giving him the windmill from the ocean. Yoo-hoo!
I mean...
But he didn't see it.
He didn't see it. You have to think, right? There is a non-zero chance that on a nudist beach, anyone coming up and sitting next to you is interested in a potential group situation.
Well, we did discuss that. I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
Do you think that?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying there's a non-zero chance, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm not saying that it's like more likely than not, but if you're on a nudist beach and it's vast... like the length of this beach is one of the main reasons you'd go to it, and they come to 15 meters from you, then that's a choice, right? They've chosen a spot in your vicinity.
Yeah, well, it did cross our mind, actually. And look, if the people are going to a nudist beach, you got to think they're liberally minded in like sexuality in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else was I going to say? That's pretty much it. But can I ask you something? In the does it come up in the gay world? Like because as I was saying before, guys know that you can go from zero to hero, right? But I not having that anatomy, I feel like you probably don't understand, or you're like, oh, like you can see it in a certain context as a woman and just be like, the hell's going on
Where
there?
did your dick go? Yeah.
And make an assessment based on that. But a guy would just be like, oh yeah, okay.
I mean, I feel like women could understand conceptually the idea of like, oh, it must be cold when you like go into the water. Like people always make that thing of like when you're wading in, there's that moment where you like cross the threshold and you have to stick the nuts in under the ocean. Like there's always a conceptual understanding there, but I don't think unless you're a guy, you understand what it feels like, right? But I think in the same way, it's like, I don't really know what a period feels like, right? And yet every woman in my life, up to a certain age, every month is going through some form of persistent bleed / pain / who knows, how bad it goes. And I can't understand that. I could empathize with an internal pain, I understand what a bleed, I cut my finger before or something, but I don't really understand it. I haven't lived it. So I'm not hugely surprised by a difference in understanding. And also, to be honest, the truth is that like sex ed is pretty crap, or at least it was when we went to school. Maybe it's a little bit better. Yeah. So I'm not hugely surprised if it doesn't really translate.
Yeah. I went to a religious school, so...
Well, even worse. To answer your question about, like, the gay scene... I mean, yes, I guess there's several aspects to it. Yes, people would understand better what having a dick is like, so that will you don't have to explain like, oh, it's cold today is a joke that every guy understands, right? They crack it to each other regardless. And there's probably just more like sympathy, but also more understanding, which means like if you are with someone who's, I'm picturing like in a sexual situation, if your partner is unable to get it up for whatever reason, you probably understand that fear and also have an idea about what might need to happen to fix it. So like, I guess it's just knowledge and experience, right? Like anything else.
Yeah, I think that's right. I guess there's you have a deeper level of understanding just being the same gender, but then the other, I guess you don't have the mystery, because like part of the fun is the mystery, like of the opposite sex.
Sure, yeah. The other thing, I suppose, is the like the grower versus shower thing. So there's still like some potential like questions or allure and mystery. Then again, just thinking on a sort of tangent as well, the idea of the nudist concept. I don't know whether a beach is going to be the destination for gay people necessarily, because there are other spaces like gay bathhouses and things where that kind of practice is already kind of entrenched if you wanted that experience, I guess.
And everyone knows that gay people can't swim, which is the other element.
Yeah. So we never actually have the problem, to be honest, of shrinking.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, interesting. Well, are you good? Have you booked a return? Are you going to be back?
Look, it's a beautiful beach. We're keen to go back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll take a Viagra or something before I go next time.
No, surely that's the one thing you
worse.
don't want.
But okay. So not to harp on this too much, because I know I've just come back from a long break and now I'm just devoted 20 minutes to talking about dicks. but you kind of want to fluff. You want to even if you're in a kind of a romantic situation, you want to fluff up, just to give yourself the best possible chance of looking good. If you fluff too much, you could walk away with which is definitely worse.
Yeah.
If you're going into the ocean with a rager, better not to backstroke, because
or maybe that's the best stroke. Maybe that like adds speed.
I like the idea of someone confusing an erection for a shark fin.
Have you ever? Do you ever go to the like sex health clinic? Have you ever gone to?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a fairly regular thing of a gay man's life. Getting a
even in
checkup.
A relationship.
Yeah, getting checkups and perhaps less so in a relationship, to be fair, but particularly if you're sexually active, having regular exams, checking for bloods, or potentially being on something like PrEP, which prevents HIV. A whole bunch of that stuff is just very normalized in the gay community. But there is definitely one of those fears whenever you go into those clinics for your annual checkup or whatever, that you don't want to when you're getting it out, get anything any action down there going, because that medical circumstances with the doctor there or the nurse there is worst fear kind of of how that interaction goes.
You want a happy medium. You want and leaning towards not much
low. Yeah.
Just a bit of blood flow there would be nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of X-rated chat here. Yeah. My apologies.
Well,
but I just had to get that off my chest.
Sexy and free. That's what the slogan is.
I love that.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you have anything that you wanted to talk about? But I think we've already answered that question. So there was one interesting article that I read over the past few weeks that I thought would be interesting to discuss. It was in Slate, or on Slate, the website, I suppose. It's a article entitled "Dangerous Minds" by Jane C. Hugh. It is about the idea of brain maturity. The lead is, the legal world is slowly accepting that age 18 or 21 is not a magical moment of adult brain maturity. Are we ready for what that means? Let me just read some of this. It's quite a long article. I will post the link of it in the chapter title if you're listening on a podcast player. It's a good read, but I'll just get us going here. In a car outside of a convenience store in Flint, Michigan in late 2016, Chemo Parks handed his cousin a gun. Things happened quickly after that. Witnesses saw his cousin Harris with his arm up and extended towards a red truck. Shots rang out. The wounded driver sped off and crashed into a tree. EMTs rushed him to the hospital. The man was dead on arrival. 2 weeks later, Harris was arrested following a car chase. He and Parks were charged with the murder. The defendants were both convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Parks' lawyers appealed this sentencing, arguing it was unconstitutional. Parks was 18 at the time of his conviction, and his legal team asserted that it constituted cruel and unusual punishment to put an 18-year-old away for life. They cited several landmark Supreme Court cases, this is all in the US, which abolished the death penalty for people under 18, and which held that people 17 and younger could not be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The lawyers argued that the age cutoffs established in those cases should be extended upwards. The case eventually made its way to the Michigan Supreme Court, and in one filing, a group of neuroscientists, psychologists, and criminal justice scholars submitted an amicus brief in support. They said, quote, "Drawing the line at 18 for when mandatory life without parole cannot be constitutionally imposed is, from a scientific perspective, both arbitrary and under-inclusive. From a scientific perspective, a person's 18th birthday is not a rational dividing line for justifying life without parole or similar sentences because the brain continues to develop and change rapidly across all the relevant metrics for several more years." The appeal was successful. So there's a whole bunch more to this article, a whole bunch more of explanation. But the key question here is one of the fundamental tension between science and policy. So science is fluid. We understand things, and then that understanding evolves with new findings. The work of science is uncovering the truth, but that's never complete. Law, on the other hand, demands rigidity. You can do this, but not that. And reconciling these two disparate approaches has always created friction. But now we're getting to a point with neuroscience and punishment where things are getting worse. A growing body of research strongly suggests that brain development continues well into people's 20s and beyond. There's no hard cutoff at when most people have a mature brain, and there's unlikely to ever be one because scientists are continuing to conduct more and more studies of how our brains work. There aren't even clear indicators to test for that would signal that an individual's brain is now grown and it's time to hold them accountable to a higher standard. One of the few things we can now say for sure is to draw a hard line at 18 is to get it perilously wrong. So, as that is a context and a background here, I just thought it would be interesting to talk about what you think that intersection should be, where we draw the line between the science of understanding how our brains works and when we are ready to call people adults, and at what point you think it's fair to hold people responsible for something. As one potential kicking off point, we know that men and women, the brains, quote unquote, mature at different rates. So do you think it would be ethical to set an adulthood line of 21 for men but 18 for women because they're more mature earlier?
Yeah, for the death penalty.
Yeah.
So we should be able to kill women earlier in life than men. It is an interesting topic because there are so many. It's weird to create blanket rules when it comes to kind of really big things like drinking and driving a car and the death penalty. Not that exists where you or I live, but these are kind of big things to have. And when you can have sex, like when you can date someone, they are very like arbitrary, and it, like in an ideal world, would be able to measure everyone's brain activity or however they test for maturity. I'm sure there's some sort of test for that.
Well, that's kind of the point. There's no agreed upon metric where you can look at and say, oh, you're at 1020, now you're mature. There's no rigid line. There's no line in the sand there to draw.
So I mean, for things like the death penalty, maybe even driving a car and alcohol, it almost feels like we should be erring on the side of being more conservative with this stuff and assuming that if we are having to make blanket rules for a large population size, which we do need to do,
Yeah.
then we should probably be erring on the sides of being more conservative, which is like bumping up the age.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the other weird thing is the sex thing, because in America there are states where you can have sex or relations with someone who's 16 years old, for example, but then in others it's 18, and people are being like prosecuted, based on these rules. But it seems so it's kind of silly in a way. Like
It's
I get
geography.
it, but it's
like
also
if
quite
I'd been
silly.
over on that road, on that
It's
state
like,
across there,
am I a
it's fine.
pedophile? I'm a pedophile now. What? Yeah. So I don't obviously don't have a solution for it, but the idea, the concept is strange when you think about it, that we are creating rules for developing brains where everyone is so different, and we know everyone's so different.
And the idea that brains only get like fully mature at 25 is also a myth. There's no such thing. People have been holding up that age now as like a new marker of adulthood, but that's sort of
I've been proving it
dubious.
for years.
Yeah. Some people have said that you can't even truly consent to marriage or to sex before you turn 25, like based on neuroscience, misguided neuroscience. But there's a whole bunch of like different avenues here to think about. One of which is, okay, so now let's say that we've accepted that 18 is too young to be life without parole. Like maybe at this point we can't treat people as adults. Should the law, which is always famously behind reality, the law is always catching up to the world as we know it, because policy and decision making takes time. It always happens after something. Should the law be ever changing based on the whims and the knowledge of science? Is it the case that a new science, journal article comes out and says, okay, brains become mature at 22, and then it goes through the courts, and some people get charged at 22, and then one person puts in an appeal and brings in a different set of neuroscientists, and then they say, oh no, it's 23, and so then we update all the laws, and then that gets challenged, or someone else does a new study, and then another one comes in and, oh, it's 25, and oh, it's 21, and like how, for the sake of our society, shouldn't law be rigid even if it's wrong, for stability or for predictability or for, efficiency's sake? Do we need to just pick one wrong number even though we know that everything's changing around it?
Yeah, I guess you could I can't see how it would be bad to follow science, and science is just following evidence. So and science changes all the time, but also policy moves slower than science does. So perhaps you could, make it so that every 5 years you review a policy and with the updated science or something like that, rather than, every single update in the scientific world. But even that, I mean, there could be some great breakthrough study that, or information that comes to light that then, even if you were reviewing it every 5 years, you'd be like, oh, well, we have to wait 4 years. There should be some way that policy can actually be changed based on the evidence that's coming out. But there is there's a lot of distance between lawmaking and science, especially in the States, I guess.
For sure. And in this article, it actually points out an example where the Supreme Court had, I forget the date, 20 years earlier, received a briefing from the American Medical Association where it said, 18-year-olds are adults and they could do this. And then 20 years later, they had another briefing from the same organization where they said 18-year-olds are not adults. And the Supreme Court justice was like, well, which of you are we meant to believe? Your old testimony or your new testimony? So having to reconcile the fact that that's changing is perhaps outside of the court's typical...
Yeah. I don't know, but I personally feel like I changed more between 25 and 30 than I did between 20 and 25.
Yeah.
So it is like if I were to if I were to make laws for myself based on my own personal experience, I would probably make drinking illegal until 21.
Yeah.
And I even don't.
But
I mean, I
we
don't
know the science about the impact of alcohol on people's brains, right?
exactly,
Like it's
exactly.
yeah. The
And even driving a car. Like at 16, I don't think I should have been driving a car. And it worries me that there are other 16-year-olds like me, out there driving
one of the things
weapons.
that we talk about again that is talked about in this article is the idea of context as well. That like a 16-year-old could sit in an exam room and answer the questions about give way this or fake drive this screen and hit the brake pedal and that sort of thing. But that's one context, and perhaps their brains are developed enough to do that, but not as good at filtering out distractions. So if you're then in a car with two other people and the music blaring and your phone's dinging and it's late at night or something and you're driving along, that's a very different set of circumstances to where you were taught to drive and passed your driving test.
Yeah.
And it's also not to say that even if you do push that age up, an 18-year-old could still be culpable for a bad decision, right? Like they could still have actively made the wrong choice or be expected to do better.
Sure. I guess that's the other side of things. Like some people do mature quickly, and so they, in the States, if the death penalty is still kicking around as a punishment, I mean, it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, which I guess leads to the conclusion that the legal system should have a built-in function, or I suppose the punishment side of it, to allow for the fact that if they've spent 20 years in prison, they're probably a different person by that point, right? Like that's the whole the unjust nature of a life sentence to me, is the idea that there's no future chance this person is ever redeemable.
It's weird when you think about, people who, if you think about even your own life, and we've both probably done things that we really regret, and we, that feeling of, oh my God, I hate that I did this,
Yeah,
or I hate that I said this. I will never do that again, and that you will really never do that again. No matter how severe it may be or may not be. I can only imagine how many people have been put away in prisons for a crime that was made in the heat of the moment or spontaneously or whatever, that they would actually just never do it again because of how bad it got. That even the thought of going to court, even the thought of dealing with police, they would just never do it again. I'm sure it's a huge percentage of people that would just never do it again. There's obviously people who would say they would never do it again, but they would. But I'm sure there's a relatively large number of people that have just had their lives ruined by their own actions, but also even though they would actually never commit that act again.
Yeah. Well, that's the question of the purposes of prisons and that sort of thing. Is it for rehabilitation or is it for punishment? I very generally speaking, and it's been a long time since I looked at it closely, but I feel like there has definitely been some evidence that giving people in prison a chance and rehabilitation and counseling and work training and that sort of stuff does so much more to minimize recidivism than if you treat them like criminals and don't give them any support or structures, and then they get out into the real world and they fall back into what they did before.
Yeah, it's an interesting ethical dilemma, really. Prisons, is it ethical to no matter what someone's done, to decide as a society that an individual can no longer participate in the world?
Yeah.
We do have to have some parameters as human beings. We have to have, if we want to have societies that are going to function, we do have to have parameters. But I feel like in the future, and it probably be way in the future, there may be a more ethical, more rehabilitative approach to correcting people's behavior that is not just taking away that individual and putting them in a box.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the same in Australia as far as I know, but the US system is crazy to me because they have the for-profit prisons where they're run by like third parties, not by the state.
Yeah,
and they're there to like
so corrupt.
Do fucking slavery basically and not get paid for it. And
well, they need a certain amount of people in prison in order to keep the prisons running because they're privately owned.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Bizarre.
So bizarre and so perverse. And that's one where you could really point to it and say, this is not for rehabilitation purposes. This is as far away from it as you can get.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any answers to anything, obviously.
No.
I just have questions.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting area which I hadn't encountered before.
Side question. If you were sent to prison, how do you think you'd fare? And what would be your game plan, your strategy?
What did I do? Like, how long am I in for?
All right. Let's say you're in there for tax evasion.
Okay.
Or maybe embezzlement. I don't really know what embezzling means.
Embezzlement is just stealing
some
money
sort of
something.
Financial thing, but you're in there with the rest of the riffraff. Yeah.
Yeah. And how long am I in for? 6 weeks.
18
5
months.
months.
18 months. 18 months.
Okay. How would I go? I mean, I tell you what, I would be hitting the gym straight away.
Would you?
I think you got to get in there because you don't want any signs of weakness. Okay. And also, what else have you got to do, right? Like, there's nothing fucking there.
Well, but I've heard that they've removed gym equipment from prisons.
Really?
Well, it's actually, you see it in movies, but you're not actually
not a thing anymore.
A lot of buff prison guys. That's from bodyweight exercises.
Oh, okay. Well, even so, get yourself
Push-ups.
in good shape. I feel like I could be. There's a few cliche tropes here. There's one which is like the quiet guy who just reads books in his cell, like stays out of trouble, doesn't want to, mess with anyone. I feel like that could be me.
Yeah.
There's also a slight chance, like I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and arguably a bit of possibly some wit there. So maybe I could like write a line where I sort of make some friends and most people kind of like me because I'm a nice guy, but I like don't get into the shit with anyone, but I'm also not like hiding out. I'm just kind of like just ride that line in the middle where maybe personality wise I get along with everyone.
That's what I did in high school, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that approach.
The scary thing would be I would not want to be with it like in any of the internal gang stuff. I just don't want to get near that side
icky.
of it.
Gross. You don't want to play favorites at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Gangs really is all about playing favorites.
No, you're like guys. Don't.
Guys.
I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
Whatever this argument is.
Yeah.
I like that approach. I think I'd do the same. I think I'd roll the dice and which I pretty much do this in real life anyway. But, I think humor would be your way to try and get someone on your side.
Yeah.
And you could make like a bit of a risky joke. And if it was in a movie, you'd have that weird tension moment after you've made the joke. And then
the boss
and then they go, I like you.
Yeah.
I like this guy. I'll just tell this really quick story because it's kind of related. And I just thought of it. When I was in high school, when I was in year 11, I went on a trip to the US on a music tour. So I played in a brass band, and we went on this tour of the United States, and we were billeted by a family who was, the same school as the school I went to, a Jesuit school, and we got put up with this family, and there was a guy around my age, right? So year 11, so that's why we got put there. I was there with another guy from school, and his mum, they're really rich. This is in Phoenix, and they're really rich. And his mum would go and give him, $100, and he'd be like, take these Australians to the movies or something like that. And he was driving at this point. He was 16, and so we'd be like, all right, cool, we're going to the movies. This really happened.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like in kind of an affluent area. Like these people had money.
Yeah.
And he's driving there. It was like a fucking Hummer or something. He's driving us to the movies. We're on the highway and we're talking about this movie that we're going to go see. And he goes, oh, you guys realize we're not going to go see a movie, right? And I was like, we were like, no, we didn't actually know that. We thought we were going to see Pirates of the Caribbean 2 or whatever. And he's like, no, we're going to my friend's house. Anyway, we go to this friend's house, and it's like a druggy house.
Yeah, right.
And we're like two 16-year-old
from Australia
guys from Adelaide who I've barely heard the term marijuana.
You've used meth like once or twice.
Anyway, we get to this den, and there's like a it's like it was like a set from a movie.
Yeah.
There's like guys in like stained singlets.
Yeah.
And they're smoking bowls. They're smoking not weed. They're smoking. I didn't even realize it was meth, but I guess reflecting back, it's probably meth. And they're just like sucking down these things. Anyway, like hard looking guys.
Yeah.
And we're freaking out. The other guy's a Mormon. The other guy from school, he's a Mormon. He's literally a mission. He became a missionary.
Yeah.
And there was one guy, and I was like terrified. We're both terrified. And the main guy, the lead guy, the kind of kingpin, he was giving us some real shade, like, who the fuck are these assholes, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
Does he know know the American
he knows the billet, our host.
And how old's this host? Also 16?
Yeah, my age.
Yeah, fuck.
Started early. And then this guy asked us to go get him some Gatorade, walk down the street. They ask us if we want to hit. We're just like, we're actually good. You know, we've got a big concert tomorrow, playing in St. Patrick's Church. Anyway, I told a joke. After like 2 hours of sitting there being shit scared, I saw an opportunity, I told a joke. And this guy, the kingpin guy, the evil looking guy, he just flipped. Well, in a good way. There was a wrong choice of words, but he was just like cracking up laughing. He was like, this guy's fucking hilarious. And he just like was just my best bud after that for the next like 2 hours, however long we're there.
You spent 4 hours in a drug den.
Dude, it was not
What was your billet doing?
Smoking. And then he drove us back.
What the fuck?
I know. And the weird thing is, I told my dad this, because my dad was a music teacher at
your dad was on the trip, or when you got back?
My dad was on the trip, but like not with our
billeting. Yeah.
And I remember telling the teachers this, and they were like, all right. They didn't really know what to do with it, so they just left it. Nothing happened. Just continued staying there.
We're going to pretend you didn't tell us that. Go back to the meth house.
It was wild. But anyway, that feeling of being like accepted by like the baddest guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been chasing that high ever since.
This is why you got into comedy.
So that would be my approach to prison, would be to try and make the most terrifying guy laugh.
Yeah.
And then get him to protect me, and then he can do whatever he wants to my body.
Yeah, wow. Well, good choices.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this, well, there's plenty more interesting stories of Michael's childhood in the back archive, so why don't you go have a listen? You can find them all at deepfort.podbean.com in your podcast player of choice, and, soon to be all over Spotify as well, as we have now uploaded our podcast to Spotify, so go explore. Maybe find the one about the vet dentist or other kind of horrifying things Michael's done. If you also want to follow us in other places, well, fuck Twitter, because that shithole's down the drain. But you can still follow us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and you can find our songs and jingles on Spotify as well. And if you ever have questions or comments, please send them through to deepfort@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And particularly if, Laura, you're listening to this and you have thoughts about the collision of neuroscience and the legal institute, or any other listeners with something to say, please reach out.
Don't talk to my sister.
How you doing, Laura? How you doing, ladies?
So not convincing at all. You've never said that with any sort of
hey girls,
authentic.
Love those breasts.
Oh, the worst part is the face, which people can't see, but the face.
Can I touch one of your chest boobs? Wreck engine.
Brum brum, vroom vroom. It's not broom broom, is it? That would be for
Well, it could be from the
sweeping.
car. Broom is a car, so you could be. Is that what you were
Oh
thinking
yeah,
of?
isn't it brum? Doesn't
Well,
matter.
he probably says. Anyway, I feel like you've got us off topic.
Vroom vroom.
Welcome to Deep Thought's recommendation engine. I got a couple of little things here. Do you want to kick us off with something?
Yeah. First rec album. Now, have you heard this? Wise Blood. Wise Blood.
Yeah, Wise Blood. I do know them.
WEYES Blood.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal! It's my favorite album of 2022. It's called "And in the Darkness, Hearts Aglow." I've been rinsing this album on repeat. I've listened to a few of her songs. By the way, it's a lady singer.
Oh.
Yeah, so a bit of a curveball, but it's just a knockout album. It's kind of an epic album, I'd say. It's kind of soft rock / alternative rock. I never know what to label these things.
I've lost all track of genres these days, so yeah, I struggle with it too.
Indie rock. I mean, nothing seems to fit.
No.
But it is just like incredible songwriting, incredible voice.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it is powerful. I've had a couple of... There's one particular song called God Turned Me Into a Flower, which it literally blossoms like a flower, like the musically. And when it gets to the crescendo and the third act, I would almost describe it as, it's, you can just feel yourself unfurling and unraveling. I don't know what else to say, but it is just a great album.
I know I've liked some of her stuff for a few years, and she's one of those artists who I think does a lot of like collaborative songs with other people, so I always get like she'll pop up every few months with like a new one in my Discover.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, she's done another thing. And yeah, I feel like I've given that album a listen, but I probably haven't been back to it this year, so I should go and give it another check, because yeah, she's very talented.
I think it's a real it's a headphone listen, this one.
Yeah, or a go for a walk listen.
Yes.
Yeah, nice rec. I will throw in... Have you seen the comedy special Rothaniel by Gerard Carmichael?
No, but he just hosted the Globes, right?
Correct. He just hosted the
did
Globes.
pretty well.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything of it, but I think his star is rising. Here's the thing which I think might get you to jump onto it. It was directed by Bo Burnham, and I know you're a fan. So this is a stand-up from a comedian. I think probably his third special, from what I understand. I'm not hugely familiar with his back work, but this was one of the most acclaimed specials from last year. But I will pre-warn you, it is not like it's one of the ones which is a bit more of a telling a personal story special than it is a joke a minute kind of thing.
I've heard that.
But it is very, very personal, clearly personal. And I feel like if you don't know what it's about, then I won't tell you what it's about. But I think it is really elegantly framed. And about halfway through the story of the show, it just takes a turn into this very, very open, very personal, almost monologue, which is worth looking into. And he does the thing, I know that you don't have a great deal of time for old Nanette and to a lesser extent Douglas. You didn't get your Hannah Gadsby stuff, but I think both of them do have that timing where even in the middle of a story that is very emotional, they know the moment to press the joke button.
Right. Yep.
And some of the ways that he cuts the tension or the silence in this special is just perfect. So I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's a laugh a minute, but there are laughs in it. And I think if you're a Bo Burnham fan or interested in a little bit of alt comedy, that you should give it a go, because it's very compelling.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of comedians talking on podcasts, and they all talk a lot about Jared Carmichael. He's kind of like a comedian's comedian. So He's been on my radar, but I haven't actually actively gone out and checked his stuff out. But I'll do that with this special. Do you know if it's on Netflix?
I don't think it's on Netflix. Over here, I watched it on Neon because it was an HBO special. So I would
Oh, it might be on
suggest
Binge.
go look where your
Yep.
HBO turns up.
Yep.
It'll probably
Binge.
be there.
Cool.
Yeah, good watch. And 50 minutes. Like, it's not overly long.
Good time.
Got something else?
Yep, I've got another best of 2022. Best film 2022 for me was Triangle of Sadness.
Oh.
It is I'm going to say it, raucous. A raucous affair. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm using words that only someone from the 1800s would use. But it is raucous. It is by the director. I've forgotten his name. I think he's what do you call someone from Denmark?
A Dane?
Dane, or Norwegian, one of those two. But he directed The Square and Force Majeure, which are both foreign language films, and this is his first English language film.
Yeah.
And it
Ruben
is
Östlund.
correct. It is so funny. It's got Woody Harrelson in it, and everyone else you probably don't recognize.
Yeah.
But it's like a dark comedy that is almost also kind of a satire.
Yeah.
And it's basically kind of taking aim at not communism, at capitalism and this kind of vapid new world, social media world ethos and priority that, well, maybe not priority, but social media and
where people are putting their time and energies.
We're putting people, and I'm really not doing it justice here in this summary, but it's just super funny. It's also, there's a lot of kind of gender. I really like films that don't necessarily just take a hot button issue, for example, gender roles, right? Which is, there's a certain way you can explore that idea that everyone that you kind of would expect out of a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
And then there's another way, which I think actually the show White Lotus did in the first season, where they're actually kind of having the discussion in the show, and they're not actually taking a position. They're kind of leaving it to the viewer to try and make what they will out of the discussion.
Yeah.
And the other movie that did that was The Worst Person in the World. So they're taking a complex idea and breaking it down, but there's no real agenda with it. It's just like let's discuss it, and that's happening within the film. And yeah, there's it's very rich. It's rich. It's not one of these films that you're thinking about, does that mean that? Like, it's pretty obvious. So you can feel quite smart watching this film, I think.
Sure.
Like the allegories and the symbolism is not hidden.
Yeah.
But it's super funny, and it's super interesting. And it's a little bit sexy too,
Oh.
But hello.
Oh, now I'm listening.
Ladies. Hello, boys. Am I doing that right?
It didn't come across in the same way. Is that what I sound like?
Yeah. But yeah, go check out Triangle of Sadness.
So that's in
it's
theaters.
in theaters here.
Okay.
It's in theaters now. This is just an ad.
Yeah, great. I'll have to see if it's playing. It sounds good. I never saw Force Majeure, but I did see that they remade it, and that was not as successful as far as I could tell.
I heard nothing. Oh, so they made it with Steve Carell, I believe, and Tina Fey.
No,
Maybe
but you're
John
in the
Hamm.
It was,
John Hamm?
No, it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell or something like that.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of comedies, and I suppose slightly the same thing about exploring big picture concepts, but not picking a side. Atlanta, I feel like this is a bit overdue. This is also a 2022 thing, but it's been a little while. I just wanted to throw one sort of quick last rec out for Atlanta. We talked about this show years ago. It was very good for the first 2 seasons. There was a big gap over COVID and with Donald Glover off doing other things. But last year, 2 seasons of Atlanta came out. Season 3, where they were in Europe, touring around, getting super high in Amsterdam and doing all kinds of impressive holiday kind of stories. And then the final season 4, back in Atlanta, telling some more classic stuff. And man, that show is just like a next level achievement in terms of putting you in a place and introducing people and characters unlike any other and telling stories unlike any other. And it ends just absolutely fucking perfectly with a great final episode. So if you ever like that show, please go back and finish it off, because it is totally worth it.
He's a real talent, that Donny G.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I saw season 1 of Atlanta, and I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I really have to like apply myself to or commit to concentrating to a TV show. But I feel like that's going to be one of them that I'm like, okay, I want this in my life.
And particularly, like, even though the first season was very good, the second season of that show, where they've now had the acclaim, they've got the confidence, and they come back and they just fucking start swinging, is very, very good.
So they've done 3 seasons now?
They've done 4 seasons.
They've done 4. Okay.
They did 1 and 2 several years ago, and then there was the COVID gap, and then 3 and 4 came out literally within 6 months of each other. So they'd shot them back to back. But yeah,
right.
Great show. Great show.
Cool.
Anything else?
I do. I've got one other one, which is kimchi.
Kimchi, just generally.
You a fan? You a fan of kimchi?
You know what?
Racist.
I think on the balance of things, probably no. I'll eat kimchi, but honestly, like, sometimes you go to a restaurant and they've got like kimchi loaded fries, and I would just scrape the kimchi off. I just want my fries.
I'm a big fan of the old chi. I really, as the older I get, the more I'm liking fermented stuff. I'm a big fan of sauerkraut, which is kimchi for
Westerners.
Polacks, I guess. But kimchi, I'm just putting that shit on everything, dude. Fried rice, putting it in sandwiches, put it on spaghetti. It's fucking delicious. It's good for your gut, and it's good. It's good for your nut.
2 thumbs up from Michael for kimchi.
Love kimchi.
Great job. Now, I have one last segment which I wanted to introduce, which the idea came to me off the back of some feedback that we have had from a few listeners over the years. The odd messages come through to us that some of you out there like to listen to our show as a way to put you to sleep at night. They like the pod as a background chatter, the kind of dull, monotonous, uninteresting rambles that you might hear at a party or in a business meeting, to really just soothe you off into the land of wink. And
2 complete opposite ends of the spectrum there.
Yes. Well, sometimes business meetings are very dull. But as a result, I feel like we've been fighting uphill against this trend for a while now, and I think it's time to steer into the skid. So I would like to introduce you to Blanket Ford. So here's the idea, Michael, and I feel like
this calm our voices down.
This is a get close to the microphone kind of thing. But now we're at the end of the podcast, and people are probably starting to drift off a little bit. I think that we need to tell a story just to sort of end this podcast in a sort of calming, soothing way. So if you're out there feeling those sleepy eyes falling down on your face a little bit. Maybe this will be enough to send you on your way. You guys just close your eyes and join us. You are walking along a beach.
And step by step, you feel the mud crabs walking across your feet, gently crushing them with every step.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Their brittle shells snapping beneath your weathered toes.
And up ahead on this vast, vast beach, you see a man, and he's wearing a hat.
The hat has 3 points. 1 points left. 1 points forward. And 1 points down.
You go up to this man and you ask, "Excuse me, sir, why do you have an arrow hat?"
The man smiles, and he takes your hand in his and says, "Fuck off."
You scream. That was the sound of a wave, muffling your scream. The waves on this beach are very loud.
The water rushes up to your ankles, and as the waves lap against your skin, you feel the dried blood of the crabs slowly wash away.
You notice the man is standing over you, watching. So you ask him a question.
"What's that in your hand?" The man smiles and shows you his axe. You didn't notice the axe.
You say, "Excuse me, sir," still very polite. "Why do you have an axe on a beach?"
And that's the last thing you ever said, as thwack, he hews it into your neck.
As you feel the blunt edge of the axe force its way into your neck, you notice blood.
You sink to your knees and feel the grainy sand as you collapse upon the ground, waves lapping at your body. the ocean has claimed its latest victim.